Good afternoon, gentle listeners. This is Richard Marks, and I'm recording a preface to Chapter 29. Today is Saturday, the 13th of September, 2025. I record this preface because I was seriously considering not uploading an episode this week because of the horrific violence that has taken place not only in the United States, but across the globe in the past week. I thought perhaps a chapter about the exploits of a contract killer was just not an appropriate form of entertainment. I've changed my mind on this because the chapter that I am about to play for you, Chapter 29, certainly does not concern the more violent aspects of my novel, A Murder Most Foul, The Life of a Hitman. I'm also spending several days in Jakarta, about 600 miles from my home in Bali, to record the final several chapters of the book. Two announcements of note. A Murder Most Foul, The Life of a Hitman should be published in book form in the month of October. I wish to thank all the listeners who have provided comments and suggestions. Your intellect and your creativity have been of tremendous value to me in shaping the book in its final form. I will say that the book and the podcast are certainly related, but the book that you will read next month is very different from the podcast. And I think that is a tribute to my listeners who have provided suggestions. The second announcement is basically that I want to reiterate, especially as we head toward the rather Wagnerian finale of the podcast. I do want to reiterate that this is an adult podcast. There is explicit sexual content and extreme violent content. Please use your discretion or skip the podcast if this is distressing to you. Thank you for listening, and now on to Chapter 29. Greetings, friends. This is Dr. Richard Marks, and welcome to A Murder Most Foul, The Life of a Hitman, a reading of my unpublished novel in chapters. I hope you'll enjoy it. Chapter 29. Then. Tangled Up in Blue. As a teen, I had worked for a few months on a shrimper outside Delacroix, and I lived with two of the other fishermen in a town called West Wego. In all that time, I hadn't been to New Orleans proper, so I headed south on Highway 530. I figured I could spend the night in Vicksburg, get up, have a look around, and drive the 3 hours to New Orleans in the late morning. I got to talking with a trucker at the counter of the diner the following morning. He recommended I stay in Metairie because hotels in the city were too expensive. After a walk around the Vicksburg battlefield, I was on my way to New Orleans. I got a room at some highway-side motel, the Congress Inn. It had more fleas than guests, and fell asleep in my room. I woke up at 23:30 starving. The night man on the desk said I could get some food, burgers, and a beer at a nearby strip club, the Blinding Light. It was about a quarter mile up the highway. I walked. Now, I'll admit, My sojourn to Southeast Asia notwithstanding, I'm a city boy, and even though I was going heavy, the nighttime swampside walk was a bit creepy. The place, the blinding light, was exactly what I expected. Cheap, watered-down beer and cheap eats. Up on the stage a redhead, who actually looked a little like Anne Margaret, way too good-looking for a shithole like this, was just giving the big reveal when my cheeseburger finally came. Cheeseburger and paradise. The audience showed their appreciation as the DJ announced, "All right, gentlemen, get your hands out of your pants and put 'em together for Margaret Ann." Witty, but I guess I wasn't the only one to notice the resemblance. Margaret Ann finished picking up the bounty of $1 bills littering the stage. "Okay, boys, get ready to turn up the heat by rubbing your fire sticks and welcome Louisiana's hottest redskin, Pocahontas Blue." The lights went down and the music started playing. Roxy Music. Love is the drug. The crowd of regulars seemed to know what they were in for. Then, gliding out like a panther on the prowl, Pocahontas Blue came on stage. I was mesmerized. To even try to describe how beautiful she looked is a fool's errand, but I'm nothing if not a fool, so I'll try. I look at 3 factors when I assess a woman's looks: cuteness, sexiness, and beauty. So, Goldie Hawn is cute, but not beautiful and not sexy. Raquel Welch is sexy as all fuck, but not cute and not classically beautiful. Olivia Hussey is beautiful, like she stepped out of a Renaissance painting, but not really cute and not really sexy. 2 of the 3 attributes, sure, that French chick who does the perfume commercials. She's beautiful and sexy, but all 3 is almost unheard of. I guess Marilyn is who comes to mind. Yes, Marilyn and Brigitte Bardot. But I can't think of any others right now. But if Margaret Ann resembled Anne Margaret, Pocahontas Blue, as the good old boys were almost reverently saying, kind of resembled that girl, the human one, from Planet of the Apes, but with a finer, almost classical feature. Her figure was, well, perfect. She had long black hair. Well, it looked black in the spotlight so clear. Even with her soft features, she looked strong, like an Indian princess, and she wore a beautiful Indian headdress and a buckskin bikini which slowly disappeared. It was strangely quiet in the club, as if every man in there was imagining a life with a human being so divine, way past carnal thoughts, more like transformational thoughts. I hate to say this, but I had never seen a stripper like her. I was used to the strip clubs in Saigon where some scrawny girl with a sullen, disdainful look on her face would gyrate for a couple minutes, then make the rounds asking, "Fucky, fucky?" This Pocahontas actually seemed to be enjoying herself, and would make little expressions and gestures that would send ripples of laughter, well, chuckles, through the crowd. She had a smile that could empty out a lion cage. Her self-depreciating performance also decreased the inherent level of creepiness in all strip clubs substantially. Then, the next moment, she would look like an erotic volcano about to erupt. You could almost feel the air leave the room. I'd never seen anyone take an audience on a journey like Pocahontas Blue. I studied her face because I almost felt unworthy to look at her nakedness. I felt an odd, almost painful feeling in my chest. Then it happened. We locked eyes. It was only for a second, but a flash of uncertain recognition was on her face. At that moment, I realized it was Gabriella, my foster sister, the girl I killed for, one of the only living witnesses to my crimes. I actually felt confused and disoriented. I finished my burger in a daze, and she finished her set with Fleetwood Mac's Dreams. The combination of Gabriella's dance and Stevie Nicks' outrageously sexy vocals was like a drug. I guess Roxy Music was right. With Pocahontas Blue done with her set, The crowd thinned out, and I was just about to do the same. I didn't want to rekindle any old flames. I thought that I would get burned in the end. As I got up to leave, I felt a hand on my shoulder. "Tell me, don't I know your name?" "I don't think so," I muttered. "Oh, honey, your shoe's untied," she said as she bent down to tie it. She looked up at me with those brown eyes, studying the lines on my face. As she stood up, her eyes lingered over the St. Christopher medal that I had worn for 16 years. She took the medal between her fingers and looked at the G that I had repainted on the back so many times and started sobbing. "Billy? Billy Weebling? Oh, my God!" And she gave me a big hug. I looked into her eyes and tried to keep from getting aroused as this beautiful half-naked woman held me in her arms. No luck. "Wow, I can see you're happy to see me. Did you recognize me? I'm all grown up," and spun around so I could see how the years had carved their masterpiece. She glanced at my pants. "So are you," and she laughed. Oh, friends, that laugh. To say I felt so uneasy would be an understatement, as the levee of memories broke and came flooding back. I started off with a lie. "I wasn't sure it was you. You're gorgeous. But you were back then, too. Listen, I'm staying at a motel about a quarter up the highway, and I walked here, so I better start back, but it was great seeing you." I wanted to make a quick exit, because I knew if I thought about it too much, I would come to the realization that I might have to kill her. "Ooh, the Congress, that flea trap. Please, let me give you a ride. I'm wide awake. Let's go to my place and catch up. I'd love to hear what you've been up to. Let me get changed and I'll be out in 5 minutes. She was gone before I could speak. I seriously thought about slipping into the night, but I had already said where I was staying. Already I'd made a mistake. I will admit that my ego was being stroked by the glances of the guys leaving the club, as they looked at me with admiration or jealousy. Mistake number 2. "Okay, Mr. Weebling, let's roll." The buckskin bikini was gone, but the blue jeans and white top were a nice substitute. Her dark nipples made the shirt almost redundant. We walked out in the humid swamp air to a Delta Green 1968 VW Beetle in good condition. "I live right across the Mississippi from New Orleans. I can see the St. Louis Cathedral from my porch. Well, almost. It's kinda blocked by the levee." And she laughed. That laugh. That freaking laugh. "How far is it?" I said, trying to make conversation, although the whole situation made me very uncomfortable. She obviously was very happy to see me. She's mind-blowingly beautiful, but she's a witness to my first murder. "Not that far. No traffic at this time of night." "How long have you lived in New Orleans?" I asked, still trying to talk through the awkward situation. "Geez, I moved here in 73, so 5 years. I guess it's the longest I've ever lived in any one place. They haven't run me out of town yet." She laughed softly. I was still contemplating the need to get rid of her when she said, almost in a whisper, "You know, Billy, I think about you all the time." "I think about you a lot, too." "Well, what the fuck was I supposed to say? Oh, I'm thinking about killing you because you're the only witness to the homicide I committed 16 years ago that's still alive? The reality which I dared not share is that every woman I'd ever been with inspired me to close my eyes and imagine her. At the next red light, she leaned over and kissed me, one of those kisses that leaves no question of what will follow. That kiss, no bad breath, no cigarette breath, maybe a slight, sweet lingering of southern comfort. "Okay, I guess I won't kill her." "It's over the bridge, the UEP Long Bridge from the city." "Ah, the Kingfish." I demonstrated my grasp of history. Really, I was just trying to show off. "Yep. How do you know about the Kingfish?" "I worked on a fishing boat just outside of Delacroix when I was 16. I couldn't stop saying things I shouldn't, revealing way too much about myself. "Oh," she said, "a year after," and her voice trailed off. "Yes, a year after," I said as I reached up and ran my thumb over the tiny scar on her right temple, a remembrance from Mr. Krause. It was hardly noticeable, but I touched it. She reached up and took my hand, brought it to her mouth, and kissed it. Every time she touched me, I felt an almost electrical tingling whenever our skin met. You should never have left that night without me. I wanted to be with you so bad. I had no idea where I was going, no idea if I'd be alive by morning, no idea if I could keep you safe from human shit like Mr. Krause. I could take care of myself. Do you think Krause was the first pervert I met in all those years of foster homes? Together we would have been strong. Think of what we could have done, she said while putting her hand on my pants leg. Not in a sexual way, but when you looked like she did, everything had a sexual vibe. Almost without thinking, I said, I can't imagine how different my life would have been with you by my side. Another red light, another kiss. I felt as I was free-falling into darkness like I had done more than once in Nam, just as dangerous, but a far better way to die. The light turned green and she said, Let's change the subject, Billy. What did you do after? Oh, you mean after I saw you almost get raped and killed a man with a shovel? Regrettably again, I lied. I said, I wandered a bit, took jobs, nothing special, mostly jobs helping out with construction until I heard about the seasonal fishing in the Gulf. So I came down here and got a job on a shrimper. I regretted letting some truth slip out, but I regretted lying to her even more, but I had no choice. I moved to Kansas City for a while, worked as a dishwasher, then Washington State, and worked as a cook for a spell. I got my degree in business from Wazoo, Washington State. Go Cougars! And I took a job for Texas Instruments in Salt Lake City. Last year I got an offer I couldn't refuse from Torque in Columbus, Ohio, and that's where I am now. Married? Kids? No, I was engaged once, but it didn't work out. Her folks didn't approve of me. See, being an orphan has its advantages, she laughed. Why are you in New Orleans? Did you come to find me? She said only half-jokingly. If only I had known, Gabs. Yeah, well... And I could see the glint of a tear running down her cheek. I reached up to wipe it away. Don't, she said. I'm sorry, did I say something wrong? No, but I'm 32 years old. I haven't seen you in 16 years, and in 16 minutes you've managed to fuck up my life. I'm so sorry. Pull over. None of this was planned. I'm sorry. I can get back to the motel on my own. She pulled the car into an empty parking lot of a store that had closed 6 hours ago. I reached for the door handle. Again, I'm so sorry. She grabbed my arm. Don't you understand? This is the happiest night of my life. I feel as if I was walking on a frozen lake and the thin ice was always cracking under my feet. It feels like everything is changing right this second. This time I took the initiative and kissed her. Again and again. I ran my hands over her shirt and pants, and she did the same. Just then a truck went by and its headlights lit up the Beetle. The trucker gave us a knowing honk and sped away. We both laughed a little. Let's go to my house, she said in a voice so charged with eroticism it almost gave me an orgasm. We were silent for a few uncomfortable minutes. Anyway, I finally said, I was at a convention in Birmingham and I figure I had earned a couple days. I wanted to see the Big Easy. See, you did come to find me. The Big Easy is my nickname. That laugh again. What does Torque do anyway? Stainless steel industrial bathroom fixtures. And speaking of names, Pocahontas? Seriously? Isn't that a bit insulting to your heritage? She let out a laugh. My heritage? I have no clue about my heritage. All I know is this dark skin and long black hair drive the southern gentleman wild. But I've been Cleopatra, Aphrodite, Salome, Scheherazade, Mata Hari, even Uhura with a little red miniskirt. That didn't last too long. Besides, if I stopped using Pocahontas, I would miss the high wit of stage announcements like, Gentlemen, any volunteers to poke Pocahontas tonight? Or, Boys, let's hope that tonight she's an Indian giver, she giggled. Everybody asked where I got my tan. Those big brown eyes don't hurt either, I suppose. Oh, aren't you genteel? These tits and ass don't hurt either. Mommy and Daddy's genes did a good job of preparing me to earn a living in this ugly world. Thanks, Mom and Dad, and fuck you, whoever and wherever you are. Here we are, the Kingfish Memorial Bridge and the mighty Mississippi. At least it looks black rather than the shit brown color it is during the day. But Pocahontas is just my stage name. I'm still Gabriella Azura. The girls at the orphanage used to tease me that the nuns named me Blue because I was so ugly. I was wrapped in a blue blanket when I was left there because my dear parents thought I was a boy. So I've adapted that as a stage name. Do I look like a boy now? It's impossible to imagine now. It was impossible to imagine it 16 years ago. Aw, aren't you the silver-tongued devil? I declare I'm having a case of the vapors, Mr. Weebling. By the way, welcome to Algiers. This is where you live? Please, I'm an upscale lady. I live in Algiers Point. But when we go through the Mardi Gras circle after we get to Verret, we get on Valette. That's my street. I had to ask, Gabriella, what happened after I left that day? Oh, that day. I did what you said. I told them I fainted when Mr. Kraus started to rape me and hit me with his belt buckle. Kraus was dead and they took Miss Kraus away in an ambulance, but one of the firemen said it looked like she had a pretty severe head injury. I got sent to an orphanage for older girls and ran away after 6 months. I went to Euston and got a job stripping under the name Cherry Wood. I was only 17, but Euston plays pretty loose on those things. You can't spit in Euston without hitting a strip club or a whorehouse. I met a guy who wasn't a prince, but I deluded myself into thinking he loved me, so we got pretty serious. It turned out he was a scumbag. Drugs, pimping. He got me into some really bad stuff. Hooked on heroin. He used to trade me for drugs, shooting up while I was getting gangbanged on the hood of his pusher's car. She paused as if remembering the complete degradation. I would come home after spending the night with some fat pig grunting and sweating all over me. I'll come home bruised and bloody because some animal liked to play rough. And all he cared about was how much cash I made. I got arrested for prostitution, and I was so high I thought the arresting officer was taking me to a kinky costume party where all the Johns dressed as cops. At the trial I found out how much he was making off me. I got 6 months in Woodman, and he got a slap on the hand. I think he might have had some political connections. Fucker. What was his name? Clinton Rodham. Why, you gonna kill him for me? Unknowingly, she had read my mind. I will kill him. But another thought crossed my mind. I've never spent a day in prison. A day held in various jails, yes, but I've killed countless people and not a day inside. But this beautiful woman probably gave her Johns the best experience of their miserable lives and spent 6 months inside. Fucking crazy world. But she had no idea what I was thinking. She looked contrite. Oh, baby, I'm sorry. I didn't mean... That's okay. It's a long time ago. What happened when you got out? When I got out, I had to move away. I moved to Tampa. That was a mistake. Out of the frying pan and into the fire. In Tampa, I stripped and the whole Indian thing started. I stripped under the name Sierra Cochise. I left. Seriously? Yep. But in Tampa, the real money is in so-called wellness centers. It's basically a no-fuck massage parlor, mostly handjobs. But the real money was in BJ's. What's a BJ? She giggled. A blow. Oh, here we are. 202 Valette. This is me. It's called a shotgun house. I own half. Oh, like a duplex. Sort of. It's called a shotgun because if you fire a shotgun, it goes through the entire house because all the rooms are connected. I had lived in a shotgun in Westwego, but she didn't need to know that. Why is the porch ceiling painted blue? I asked. Hain't blue, she answered. The legend is that evil spirits can't travel over water. So folks around here think they can fool the evil spirits into thinking that the haint blue is water and it'll keep the bad mojo out of your house. Do you believe that? Nah, but why take a chance? When's the last time you were below the Mason-Dixon line, Yankee? She said, opening the front door with a laugh. I thought to myself that in the handful of trips I'd made to the South, the net result was usually one less Southerner. I didn't read up on the local superstitions much. It's been forever. Is the kitchen in the very back? I asked. Yes, it's the very last room. Come on, I'll give you the grand tour. As we walked through, she picked up a small brown glass pipe. Hash oil? Sure. We sat in the second-to-last room, whatever it's called. You get the comfy chair, the seat of honor for my hero, she said with mock solemnity. I sat in the chair, and she sat in the floor at my feet, as we passed the pipe and oil back and forth. I've had enough, she said. I turned the empty pipe upside down. Oh, have you, Miss Generosity? We both laughed, as time felt like it was slowing down. I felt a warmth and level of relaxation I hadn't felt in a long time, if ever. That abruptly ended when I felt Gabriella's hands on my thighs. As she knelt in front of me, she sensed my tension. Relax. I never answered your question. What does BJ stand for? Here in New Orleans, we call it a Sophie. Her hands were opening my pants, and then I felt the warm wetness of her mouth on me. That electricity I'd felt in the car was magnified 1,000,000-fold. Maybe it was the hash. Maybe it was the way she was looking up at me with those brown eyes as she twirled her tongue around me. I could feel my legs quivering as she stopped to gently blow cool air on me. I've waited 16 years for this, and again she took me in. I was Osiris to her Isis. I started making sounds that I didn't recognize. My head was swimming. Then it happened. It was like an explosion. I felt like I was losing consciousness. My entire body was tingling. I was only remaining awake because of the sounds Gabriella was making, a kind of satisfied moan. Her head was thrown back in the chair, and try as I might, I didn't think I could sit up. She had her head in my lap and was quietly saying, "Yes, yes," over and over. She finally let out a long sigh. "That was worth the wait," she said. I started to move, stirring to get ready to make love to her. My love, but who was I to argue? "It's 4 a.m. You go take a shower before we go to sleep." I was too tired to argue, although I felt I owed her one, or 1,000, or 1,000,000. "Gabriella, I don't have anything to wear. Where are my clothes?" I called as I got out of the shower. "Your clothes are already in the wash. Just come to bed." Since Tulsa, I always slept with my clothes on. You never know, right? Sleeping naked was not something I wanted to do. As I left the bathroom and walked through the kitchen, I could see Gabriella lying naked on the bed, her dark skin contrasting with the white sheets. I was already hard when I hit the bedroom door. Gabriella noticed my erection. "Down, boy, it's sleepy time." "Don't you have something I can wear?" I asked. "Lay down." She patted the bed. "Lay on your back." I did, and she put her head on my forearm and wrapped my left arm around her. "I can't believe you still have my medal. You can't imagine how happy it makes me. Good night, Billy." "Good night, Gabriella," I said. She fell asleep almost immediately, but I didn't. It didn't have anything to do with being naked. It had a lot to do with me being a fucking asshole. Why had I lied to her? Washington State, a bathroom fixture company, one of the few people on earth that I could probably be completely honest with, and I lied about everything. Fuck, I should be pinching myself, and I was laying here with my brain churning. It crossed my mind that I was 30 years old, and I never slept with both eyes shut. Life was too dangerous, and you always had to be ready. I must have been fidgeting. I'd woken Gabriella up, and she turned over. I could feel each strand of her hair glide across my chest as she turned. She got up onto her elbows and kissed me gently on the lips, running her hand through my hair as she had done so many years before. "Shh, close your eyes and think of nothing tonight. Everything's all right." She turned back over in my arms, and for the first time in a long time, I slept the sleep of angels, in the arms of an angel. Thank you for listening to A Murder Most Foul, The Life of a Hitman, copyright 2025, as read by me, the author, Dr. Richard Marks. A new chapter will be posted each week. A Murder Most Foul is produced and recorded at Batavia Studios in Jakarta. This podcast and A Murder Most Foul, The Life of a Hitman are solely works of fiction, and any similarities to persons living or dead are merely coincidental. The music used in this podcast is the second movement of Franz Schubert's Piano Trio in E-flat, Opus 100. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, please feel free to email me at drrichardmarks@gmail.com. That's drrichardmarcs@gmail.com. If you enjoy the show, please like and subscribe to the podcast and tell a friend. Thank you, and until next week, be more than you seem.